As we live through this, the ripple effect on families, on businesses, and the arts community is coming out. And I want to talk a little bit about that. And Deb Polich with the Arts Alliance in Ann Arbor and serving Washtenaw County joins me now. Hi, Deb. How are you?
Doing as well as anyone can be expected. I'm fortunate our family's healthy, so that's good. And thanking all the people that are out there on the front lines.
Everyone is feeling this in a different way, whether it's personally with our families and then with all of the various community groups and how everyone is affected. And sometimes we don't take into account the arts community and how impactful that is for our local economy. We sometimes just think of it as the light side that we need to infuse our life with, but kind of give us a sense of how important the arts community is right now.
Well, it's interesting because you're right. We don't have a sense here in the United States in general of how integrated the arts and creative industries are in our regular lives, whether it goes from arts and creative education to the programs and the events that we go to, but also everything that we have in our homes and everything that we do is designed by somebody who's creative, right? You have to have design to have all of those things. So it's a very big industry. And to give you an idea, everything from the performing arts to creative design in the ways I just spoke of is 4.5% of the gross domestic product of the United States. That is larger than agriculture, larger than tourism, and larger than construction and transportation combined. It is a huge industry, yet we do not embrace it in our everyday life in that kind of way, nor do we hear it reported upon by media all the time about whether or not arts and creative industries is an economic impact or an economic indicator. In Michigan, the number is a $13.9 billion value added to the state of Michigan. So it's huge. And I know that from our community, the Arts Alliance serves primarily Washtenaw County. So we have those numbers, we have numbers here about what the impact is. And as important as those numbers are, there's also the very important part about what it does for us as humans, how it makes us human, how it keeps us human, how it tells our stories, over centuries. But it also helps us respond with hope and kindness and joy, especially in times like this.
When I think about coming back or coming out of this, I think about people who are going to be feeling a really big financial strain. And sometimes it was the arts or going to a concert or going to a symphony performance or buying a piece of art or buying a photograph that they will be pulling back on that. And that is going to impact the arts community as well.
It's interesting because in response to this crisis in the arts and creative industries, the Arts Alliance started a Creative Washtenaw Aid initiative to raise funds for these artists and these organizations. And in some of the conversations I've had with some of the donors, now it's very slow raising the money, I'll tell you that, a lot more requests for support of people completely out of jobs who didn't originally qualify for unemployment and are still questionable how that's going to happen. And by the way, a lot of nonprofit arts organizations don't qualify for the traditional nonprofit funding streams that are out there. So that's another issue.
What kind of help then can some of these nonprofit groups look for, or what kind of help are you suggesting to help keep them afloat and keep them kind of going through these times to be able to get onto the other side?
Well, we're glad that there are some initiatives in the CARES Act. So those gig workers are actually covered in the unemployment programs, which is great. We fought for that. There's a little bit of money coming from the arts, but it's not like Germany, who's doing $5 billion, maybe $8 billion, if my number's right, because they know how important the segment is to their economy. But the fact is that every foundation that might be giving to the arts and every organization or individual that might be doing it, they're getting asked for it by many, many, many more than they ever have before. It requires government direct sector funding like other direct sectors are receiving at this point.
Talk to me a little bit about the personal side of the healing nature, I think, of the arts.
No matter how difficult it is, and no matter what human conditions we find ourselves in, art always bubbles out. People have to, artists and creatives have to create. And those of us that think that we're not artists and creatives, I've heard so many people talking about how, I'm sitting down for the first time with, with crayons with my kids and or whatever markers, and I'm enjoying this. I had forgotten, I hadn't tapped into that part of me in a long time. It's all in us. We all have that. And then the part about healing and what it does, it's because it's all in us. Music speaks to us in ways that very few other things do. It makes us feel in a way that even when you're steeling yourself to trying to be as protective as you can, music can break through that and actually help you get to what it is that you are trying to manage.